Okay, hello. Very, very quickly. I don't know if I can do this quickly or not, but Madonna, the 5th of November, okay? There's a Friends reference here, okay? There's a ton of references in my decode chart, the chart Lorraine that I use um, pretty much for every decode now. And there's obviously references back to the dollar bill. There's references back to things like Back to the Future. In fact, I'm going to show you a clip in Back to the Future here in a minute, okay? So we've got all kinds of connections here with the 5th of November and tying back into the 10th of November, some of that dollar bill stuff and the number of pi, yada, yada, yada. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff, okay? So, obviously, I mean, I've been checking out some Friends episodes since the Matthew Perry thing, and I just happened to come across this one, okay? This is the one where Estelle dies, okay? And Estelle is Joey's agent, manager, whatever, okay? The episode happens to be season 10, and this is towards the end. We'll go to it in just a second, but this is towards the end of the season, okay? And season 10 is the last season for Friends, okay? So of course with the 10 finishing the cycle, getting ready to restart a new cycle, okay? And so death and resurrection. Okay, so episode 15. So we already have, with this going on, okay, 115 numerology, okay, so potentially November the 5th numerology. Obviously, the thing that springs to mind with Madonna on November the 5th is her marriage to Guy Ritchie. I know I know there's a bit of a loose connection, just the fact that he's called Guy, but I really don't, in my life, I don't know, but the only Guy that I know is Guy Fawkes. Other than that, I don't know any guys called Guy. So, it's just one of those names that's a bit. It's not a common name, at least not where I grew up. Anyway, so that's the only link really that I've got for the 5th of November with Madonna. But if you're looking at this picture now, you might even be saying to yourself, "Blimey, hell, that does look like Madonna there. Is that Madonna?" You might even be questioning, Dan, is that a picture of Madonna? I don't know if it, this is supposedly June Gable who plays the part. Okay, we'll go to her stuff in a minute. But this is the death of her in the show. Okay, and Joey's just there at the funeral, just doing the service right now. Okay, but that does look like Madonna. Okay, I don't know what else to say about it. I just was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, really, really. And so doesn't really necessarily mean anything unless Madonna were to die. But the fact that the name is Estelle here, and Madonna had a stint where she wanted to be called Esther, okay, essentially the same name basically. That's it's kind of weird as well. What did I? Yeah, Madonna claims the Hebrew name Esther. Okay, so that was back in, look at that, early 2000s, yeah, 2004. So this is the old girl that's playing the part. Okay, June Gable, born June 5th, and she's playing Estelle Leonard on the show. She actually plays in that character in the later episodes, right? But she does do one right at towards the beginning, which again is a 1-2-3. Okay, it's the first season, episode 23, so it's a 1-2-3 reference, which is pretty interesting as well. Okay, with all of our, with all of our 3-2-1 and 1-2-3. The end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. Okay, so if you've been watching my stuff, you'll know what I'm talking about with 1, 2, 3. I think what we'll do, because we might reference, might keep that in the back of your mind, that June the 5th, might come back and reference that. But that was my first little tidbit, was this thing with the kind of Madonna lookalike sort of thing going on here. Okay, and this character dying in the show. Okay, and so I'll just go through this real quick. This is the last episode here, which is a double header. And what's interesting is the one where Estelle dies, okay, which is season 10, episode 15, happens to be 233. Okay, let me take you to the chart of Lorraine, and I'll show you that 233. But what is also interesting is if you look across here for the last one, here's that 5-6 reference. It's May the 6th instead of the 5th of June, but that birthday, the numerology for that birthday again, the last one, which is interesting because again, the idea of Madonna dying would be the idea of the dam breaking, the Hoover Dam collapsing, and then man being reborn out of that thing. The waters flowing, okay? The deluge that wipes the earth clean, and then man is reborn from that, yeah? I thought what was also interesting as well, before I get off this page, was the fact that the release date for that, or the air date, is April the 22nd. Yeah, and the Queen's birthday, yeah, Madonna being the Queen, but Queen Elizabeth II's birthday obviously is April 21st. So I thought that was kind of interesting with that closeness there. But the 233, not 322, but 233. Let me show you in the table. This is my decode chart that I use for most of my decoding stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, just go check this out if you're new. Okay, check that video out and that'll explain most of this. Right now I've got the purple in here, which is the hidden 4 row. This isn't normally in here, okay? But it needs to be in here for this decode, okay? The 233, okay? The first thing to note is that the center of the table is right here, so anything to do with balance, really, this is the center point right here, okay, the balance point of the whole table where I just drew that X. And what is also interesting is that November the 5th happens to fall, very close to the center of this table. Okay, so it's an important date. I mean, it shows up in the dollar bill, it shows up in films, Back to the Future, V for Vendetta, can't think of anything else, but I'm, Anyway, here's that. The other thing that's interesting is that 233. Let me show you that. Because if you come down to this number 5 row again, okay, which is important, yeah, and this is, look at the start of this whole row here with the 5-6 again and the 5-1, and so Mayday and 5-11, all these numbers kind of tie together. Check out our 2 columns, our metaphysical column and our physical column, the 2 towers here. 2033, okay, is our numbers. Okay, so 233 is an important number. Okay, again, the number 2 is a mirror reflection of the number 5. If I just draw you a 2 in here so you can see up against that number 5 there, okay, pretty important. Okay, so this is basically a number for the metaphysical, and then there's your Christ death and rebirth number there. Okay, 33. So some interesting stuff. Again with the idea of Christ and Mary, kind of important. So I think maybe should I go through a few of these numbers in here very, very quickly. I really don't want to make this a hugely long video, but let's look at some of the Madonna numbers in here. Okay, so this is like one of the main ones right here. kind of close to the center of the table. And actually, I think I want to say the 5th. I don't know for sure. We might put it in a number jumper. Might be around about 81 days from her birthday. Okay, and so if you took this and amalgamated this 11 back down to a single 1, okay, rather than reducing it down to a number 2, let's just say 1 is mirror of the other, and let's just say really what we have is a number 1. Okay, I kind of like doing it that way. I'm not sure whether that's technically correct by anybody else's standards, but when I have a twin number, I like to say there's one identity, and we're going to go for the identity of number 1 there. And so what you have here, here's Matthew Perry's death date here, birthday, sorry, the 19th of August. And if you flip this around, this is the 16th of August for Madonna as well. Okay, and so those numbers show up quite a bit in the table, but it's just interesting. If you've watched some of my stuff, you'll know that we make connections all over the place with these numbers. Okay, and that's just one of them that's in the table, but you can also pick out numbers that are kind of adjacent to one another. So if you were to follow my cursor here, like I go down between this 11 6/11 here, or 11/6, which again is the following day after November the 5th. We have the 6th, and when we go to the dartboard, you'll notice where 6/11 is on the dartboard is hugely important in relation to 203. Okay, 203 is the vertical part of the cross on the dartboard. Okay, we have 20 at the top, and then 3 at the bottom, and then we come across. In fact, I could just write it: 20 at the top, 3 at the bottom. There's our 203, and then we have I think it's 11/6. I can't remember which way around it is, but anyway, or 6/11. I can't remember which one's on which side. That is on the dartboard. Okay, so we have the cross, essentially the cross of Christ on the dartboard, which is again, 6/11, November the 5th into the 6th. Again, pretty interesting. We'll go to the dartboard anyway, because I want to show you something else that occurs in the dartboard with Madonna's numbers in the dartboard. And again, you have to remember that just right above these numbers here as well is numerology for Madonna here, and also another set of numbers. Her numerology is actually 127. Okay, but that number there also shows up in the dartboard on what I call the Madonna cross, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's all interesting stuff. What else did I want to say here before I get off of this? Let's pick out, anyway, we were looking down here at this number here, right? So if we come across this 18, what you'll notice is that her birthday is right here, 816, if you just read it backwards. And then either side is a number 11. I don't know if you can make that out, kind of went through that one there. And a number 4 on the other side of it. Okay, so it gets kind of interesting. Okay, and then you see again her numerology there with the 127 right here as well. Okay, so the 4th of November, or 114 numerology, and of course that ties back in with the idea of the CRM 114 and all the Kubrick stuff, and it also shows up in Back to the Future right at the start. There's a ton of CRM stuff when Marty blows up the amp. Okay, so the destruction of the amp, the thing that creates the music, okay, the metaphysical, again, if you look at the colors on that thing, the knobs are all set, there's like primary, so it's like pre-Mary, and there's that Mary reference, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there with the amp that gets blown up at the start of Back to the Future that references back to the metaphysical. Okay, but that CRM, I was calling it at one point the complete rebirth of man. That 114, yeah, here it is. And again, let's just think about something here for a second. Madonna starts her tour on 10/14. Okay, so there's that. So that crossed my mind. Would that be the death date for Madonna, the 4th? Well, it's getting a bit late in the day now for it to happen. It's 4 minutes till 12 on the 4th. But what I want to say, it crossed my mind that they used, for whatever reason, the 10/14, the 114 numerology has been used for the start of the tour. So this is the celebration tour, and obviously the celebration is what you have at the beginning and at the end of life. Okay, so you have a celebration for your birthday, you repeat that every year, and you have a celebration for your death. The wake, the funeral and wake, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, the celebration of life. So it's interesting that this occurs on this day, and of course the day before, and I had another connection to this 10/15 number here. I can't remember what it was. We might find it again when we go through this thing, but 10/15, I mean, if you're going in reverse, if we're in the matrix and we're going in reverse, 10/15 is the death, and then the celebration tour, the celebration of life, yeah, the 14th. Okay, so again, 115 numerology. So that's, I just thought I was interested in thinking about it that way around as well. Because actually, I think I don't have the reference up, but I think it was one of her. I can't remember. It might have been one of her songs that had that date tied into it. I can't remember now. But don't quote me on it. But I think it might have been "Papa Don't Preach." Yeah. Anyway. Right. Okay. Let's carry on and have a look at some more of these Madonna numbers in here, because there are other ones that I want to show you how many times. This is an interesting one over here as well. Let's do this one. So I'll pick out as you can tell, this is an 809 and then a number 1. Okay, so you can rotate that around to the 16th of August. Okay, just flip it round and it becomes the 16th of August there. Check out the number that is right adjacent here. 309. 309, the 309th day of the year is November the 5th. Okay, what's interesting is we have this number 50 here. Well, actually it's not number 50, it's actually a 500, but is that really the number 5? Okay, obviously 50 is the bullseye, that's why I was thinking about that just then. And that's the Versica Pisces. Okay, and notice our CRM, it's actually 411. 114 in reverse here is right above this as well, connected quite closely. The other side of this as well is another 309. So this is kind of, this is kind of interesting with this cluster of interesting stuff, especially on this line here as well. And the number 4, obviously, the number 4, it's this thing. Yeah, that's the number 4. Oops. That's the number 4. It's the cross. Let me get rid of some of this stuff, and we'll find another set of Madonna numbers, and we'll have a look at, some of this other, what else have we got here, Dan? Sort of thing. So there's 2 that connect back to the 4th and connect back to the 5th right there. Here we go again. Where are we? Yeah, let's look at the number 5 row, because of course that's important as well. And if we look here, if we look here, okay, we've got, oh dear, Dan. If I could just draw, let's come down first. There's Madonna's numbers there. Okay, again, you got to rotate it. Well, you've got to read it backwards. Let's put it that way. Okay, so the 16th of August again there. This was next adjacent to this. This is, I'm pretty sure, Madonna's brother died. I don't know if that was his birthday or his death date, but anyway, I think it might. I don't know if it's his birthday or his death date. But anyway, it was. I think it was the 3rd of May. Anyway, that date that was referencing her brother dying. Again, what have we got on the other side of this? A 39. Okay, you can't make it out now because I've drawn through it, but it's a 39. Okay, so again, super duper interesting. And again, so tying back to the 309, and also this number right here, if we go to the other side of the year, if we went to February the 25th, I believe, if I'm getting my numbers right, I believe that's the twin date. So there's 309 days left in the year on this date. Okay, and we had that, we had Die Another Day, which was on 10/22. Okay, that was the I want to say the release date for her single Die Another Day from the film, from the 007 film, James Bond film. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. 309 as well. I will say one thing about 309 is if you go to, let me show you actually. One thing to note with 309 is that the Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge, that highway that goes, you know, over there, is Highway 93 turning into, you know, Interstate 11. Okay, so that's kind of interesting as well, right there at the Hoover Dam. What else have I got on this one? There's quite a lot of stuff. I don't think I want to do anything back on that. Hang on there. Oh, actually, I will. So I think, wow, let's hang on. Was there anything else with the 3-9 down? I can't really think whether there was anything else with the 3-9. One important thing with 3-9 though is you'll notice that the number 7 is all about balancing these two columns, okay? And so when you come down and you'll see the totals, you know, with 55 here and 88, you'll notice that that's Back to the Future numbers, okay? So the total for the metaphysical is 55, the total for the physical is 88. And when we look at the total for column 7, which is the thing, tower 7, which is the thing that balances these two towers, 139. Okay, 139 is very, very important because there's a counterpart number here, which is 143. I'm not going to explain it, but basically 55 plus 88 is 143, whereas when you total up individual columns, there's going to be a slight difference down here with the 139. But 139 is that total, and you'll notice that like 59, which is again a super important number, but if we do a 59 reference here, it comes back to this 139 right here as well. Okay, and again 59, if we look at what's directly below 59, this 611, the day after the 5th, again with the dartboard. You know, you start seeing sets of numbers kind of relating back to one another quite a lot. Okay, was there anything else that I wanted to show you in here? No, I don't think we'll do anything else in here. Again, 309. Okay, the 309th day of the year is a cross-reference back to. Look, if we look at the row, it's in the 4th row and the 11th column. Okay, so a 411 reference back. So you see how these numbers sort of all tie together. I'm going to call it good on the table for now because I've probably lost a whole bunch of you know, people that are just kind of don't even know what I'm even talking about here. But you know, the 5th of November, it's in the dollar bill. Okay, or at least it's inferred in the dollar bill. So there's, we got to be, looking at multiple sort of things here for references. Okay, I want to show you something else that was in here. In fact, when I first came to this, I think I was wanting to look at this, and then I got looking at the one where the stripper cries, because obviously the idea of crying is obviously the idea of water coming out of the eye. The eye is the Vesica Pisces, okay, and so then we have that idea of birth again, and we have the idea of rain, which is obviously the idea of the Holy Spirit coming down on you. That's why they show a lot of the time, these people have these epiphanies or whatever, and it starts raining on them or whatever. You know what I mean? But this one here with the stripper, again, this is season 10, episode 11. It just happens to be number 229. Again, once every 4 years is when the one comes on the 29th of February. Okay, an important date for the idea of the return of the one. Okay. The stripper that cries is Danny DeVito. He guest stars in this. Danny DeVito, 17th of November. Personal reference for me with that date and the name even. And what's interesting about that as well is the twin date for that, for the 17th of November, is the, what am I trying to think? The 13th of February, which is a super important date. And one more thing to remember that day is it's a countdown day, okay? There is the 321st day of the year, 3, 2, 1, okay? So we have a 3, 2, 1 reference with this. But it gets better than that, because they also bung the old girl off of Grey's Anatomy in there, who is Ellen Pompeo, okay? And her birthday is, again, November the 10th, okay, which is our Pi Day, okay, which is on the dollar bill. This is the day. This is the kind of big fold that's on the dollar bill for the potential Hoover Dam thing. I think it's probably the biggest, the most important fold that's on the dollar bill. Yeah, November the 10th, which is the 314th day of the year. This becomes important. This reference. I mean, Madonna makes the reference. If we remember, where have we got her up here? She has this character sitting around the table when she announces the Celebration tour, Diplo. Okay, another November the 10th birthday reference. If you remember, Madonna does the song "Who's That Girl?" Well, Eve, I think her name, Eve Jeffers, I think her name is. Eve does a "Who's That Girl" song as well. The rapper Eve, and she is also, she's actually born on the same day as this character, which is interesting. Okay, same year and same day. Okay, so she's another 10th of November with the reference to "Who's That Girl?" Okay, so what else did I want to show you here? I just thought this was interesting with the Grey's Anatomy thing. In fact, if you think back to the film Vision Quest, I don't know if it's a Grey's Anatomy bunch of stuff he has up on his wall or what. I'm sure he has a bunch of posters with, human anatomy on it. I don't know. I'm not 100% on that, but I feel like it's on his bedroom wall. So another reference back, and obviously this reference to the Greys, Greys Sports Almanac, Greys here. The Greys is the metaphysical. Look up at the moon. What color, apart from white, what other color is up there with the moon? Yeah, most of the time. grey. Okay, the seas are grey on the moon. Okay. Um, so what where else am I going to go with this? I want to show you some more. So of course, let's go to this. Let's go to here real quick, and let's just look at. Let's just refamiliarize ourselves with the 10th, which again is Friday. Friday ends. Friday ends. 314. Again, the important thing about pi and this idea of the connection with a circle with pi. Again, that's the idea of going full circle. Okay, going around doing the completion of the cycle. Okay, so obviously pi is super important, and remember 1111. Okay, if you actually look at the back of the DeLorean and look at the two the two sort of vent things that stick up and all that smoke comes out of them, or steam or whatever the hell that is, water vapor. Those two vents are actually divided off, and so although you have the two twin towers there, right, as you look at the back of it, right, those two twin towers are subdivided into an 1111. Okay, the plutonium slot is right in between there. That's the Versica Pisces where the plutonium enters. Yeah, they have a pellet that's a rod that goes into the chamber. Okay, to power that fictional vehicle, to power ourselves in the within the matrix. Okay, so again, let me show you as well a little rebirth thing in Back to the Future connected to this pi. Okay, and we'll also look at something in the dollar, but in the not in the dollar bill. What am I thinking about? In the chart of rain again. Okay, so here's the 309 with the fifth. Okay, here's the 5-6 again. Yeah, again. Hang on a minute. I got to get up. I got a cricket going across the floor. I don't like things. Got him. Okay, sorry. Okay, so there's that 5-6 with June Gable again, and of course that rotates to a 95. Okay, that's again super important. 308 and 57 again is super important. The idea of like completion of a cycle, connected back to the dollar bill, and here's the 611 here. Okay, the number 55. Okay, which ties back into, like in the chart of rain, number 55 ties back into 511, and it ties back into the dollar bill. I mean, all this stuff ties together. It knits together really nicely. Okay. There's a 155-day jump in the dollar bill, which encodes a whole bunch of other dates as well. But that's a video for a different. Well, it's already been done, so you can just go back in the back catalogue and kind of go through some of those older videos and some of those older dollar bill decodes, and you'll see all this stuff. Okay. So these are all interesting numbers through here. In fact, you can almost toss a coin up for potential Madonna death dates right through here. But what I want to do is show you this 314. Okay, because at the start of Back to the Future, okay, the whole thing starts with Einstein going in the DeLorean. Okay, what we have to do is we have to remember that Einstein's birthday, okay, 314. Okay, except it's not the 314th day of the year, it's the 14th of March. Okay, so this is like the start of the cycle. Okay, when Einie gets in there and does his little trip. Okay, also when Marty returns, I've got it up here actually. When Marty returns to witness Doc getting shot, okay, check out the time, 1:33. If we go to the chart of rain, I'm going to explain this now. 133 is part of the Great Scott Cross, okay, which comes down through here and goes up through here and down through here, and this is important because these two numbers reference 100 going across here. Don't ask me to explain it right now. Not only do they do reference other things as well, like the 187 of Washington's gematria. They reference a ton of stuff, okay, and there's other dates in here as well, okay. This set of numbers here, which you could take one of these ones here and do a 133, okay. Again, the letter M and the letter C, McFly, okay, but Muck or Mac, Mary and Christ, okay. Mary and Christ, the return of the Mac, those two things combining again, yeah. Mary is the metaphysical, and there's other I don't want to just call it just the metaphysical, but there, she's kind of the Holy Ghost, but like a physical format of it, like the reflection of Christ, if you like, in a physical format. Difficult to explain, but again, what have I got coming off the other way here? I got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 coming the other way, or 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, or 1, 3, 5. Again, 11, 11. Okay, the 315th day of the year. Yeah, the two twin towers. Okay, the two sets of twin towers. The number 4. Okay, so this is why I like that. This hidden 4 row in here is pretty important. But here it is. Here's the 133. So it's the idea of those two things becoming reunited, and in order for those two things to be reunited, something has to die. Okay, something has to be sacrificed, and that is the false ego. If you notice, they have 3 films. They don't finish it until, or at least when on the film on number 3, when they decide to, I guess, Marty's learned a lesson, okay, about how to become free, okay, and that lesson is about letting the ego go. He has a problem being called chicken, okay. I thought this was interesting because he's constantly being called chicken all the way through the film, and he constantly reacts to it, and that's his ego. He can't get beyond his ego. Yeah, that's the thing that ends up controlling us. Okay, and there is just another nice little link with Madonna there, because her surname is Ciccone. Okay, I don't know why it's pronounced like that, but supposedly that's the pronunciation is Ciccone. Okay, or I don't even know if I'm saying that right, Ciccone. But it's something like that. Okay, so you kind of have this chicken reference with Madonna as well. Again, letting the ego go is about one thing being sacrificed, which is the false ego. Yeah, the thing that created the time machine, that thing that allowed you to do that, or that created the time machine, but then the time machine became corrupted. Yeah, that thing is that's the thing that has to be sacrificed. Okay, that's the thing that has to be gotten rid of. And so, in the scene that I'm going to show you, this is what has to re-amalgamate, is the Mac. Okay, this thing has to come back. So what we end up with is this 133. He's going to witness the death of the thing that created the time machine. This is his fictional self, if you like. That's what Doc's representing there, amongst other different characters. There's different connotations of the same thing here. Okay, but this is what this is the twin that has to die right here. okay, to allow Marty to be free. Okay, notice the Lone Pine Mall here. So the Twin Towers have already gone, and this is the One World Trade Center. 133 is the idea of Mary and Christ coming back together. Okay, Mary and Christ coming back together, but Mary has to be sacrificed at this point. Yeah, Mary is Doc. Mary has to be sacrificed at this point. So if we watch, notice we're up on top of an embankment here. Yeah, an embankment, the hill, the dam is the embankment. Okay, so notice the time change when Doc gets shot. 134. Yeah, those numbers of pi. Okay, the numbers of pi again right here. Okay, and they're going to cut. He's going to come down, and notice that we can infer that we're going to go to 135 at some point, maybe at the point when Doc sort of springs back up. Okay, so Marty though is going to also, that's the other Marty. Notice he's in balanced colors here. Okay, notice the yellow here for the sun. Okay, but the problem is, it's just like what we have going on right now, is we have a false idol worship. It's almost really the gold color. There's the false worship of the physical realm. Yeah, if the sun is representing the physical realm, there's the false worship of that thing. Okay, and when you put that thing on a pedestal, it's just like with the whole thing with flat Earth and globers right now. When you put the sun on a pedestal, guess where the sun ends up going? You get further away from the sun. The sun's 93 million miles away. Oh, there's that 93 again. 5th of November. Okay, so this guy is kind of, he's ego driven. Yeah, he has to go through this story of life in order to come, in order to get back to, I know this isn't the exact point where he gets back to it, but by the time they're done time traveling, Marty has come to a self-realization about what causes all of the problems, and it's the ego. Anyway, he's going to drop down. He's going to tumble down this hill here, which again is, and at this point here as well, he's faced with a gun, and he gets off. You could say almost like this is his death as well here, or should be his death, right? Okay, let's see if we can get him tumbling down the hill real quick. So there's those numbers of pi, yeah? Here we go. Boom, yeah? And, the baddies go off and crash into, again, the Fox, yeah? Back into, Michael J. Fox. Fox is destroyed with the yellow. Yeah, see the connection there with him almost getting shot. He's destroyed here as well, really. So what they're trying to say is that even though he doesn't get shot, it's the self-sacrifice, yeah, of the Son at that point. That's Jesus on the cross. Okay, it's what has to happen. Anyway, this is a few moments later, so we can assume that might be the 11/11 date here of the resurrection of, this is again the resurrection of Marty as well. Okay, these two things have to be, together. And guess what it is? The bulletproof vest, yeah? And when we go look at the dollar bill, that the 10-11 fold. Oh, the shield, I call the thing that I call the shield with the little owl on it that comes over to the O, looks a bit like a bulletproof vest. They referenced the bulletproof vest several times in Back to the Future. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't think there was anything else. Yes, this looks a lot like Madonna. And Joey's doing the funeral right here. Okay. Remember the 5th of November. Yeah. Guy Ritchie's wife or ex-wife. Let me show you something else as well. With the Ciccone and the chicken reference, Robot Chicken. 10 seasons of comedy, Robot Chicken. On the Adult Swim channel, you can go look for this yourself. This is a kind of Back to the Future skit, and this is the clock tower. And look where the numbers are. We've got the hour hand pointing at the number 2, but that is also 10 minutes. And we've got the minute hand at 10 and 11, between 10 and 11. So again, kind of interesting. I don't know what the reference to having 2 elephants here instead of the 2 cougar things. I don't know. That Madonna thing with the elephants flying around Dumbo. I'm going to leave it there, but that's just interesting with the chicken and Ciccone reference and this takeoff of Back to the Future. I guess you go watch it. That's it, I think. Oh, did I have something on the tour? I did think this was interesting that she's kind of in the Spain area, Portugal area, and Take a Bow. That idea of the bull being killed, yeah, the holy cow that has turned into the raging bull. And I mean that symbolism can be taken both ways as well. But you know the out of control thing, yeah, the mad cow, the cow that can't no longer control its own actions. Again, they're in that Spain region. Obviously, I went to Spain probably to film that music video for that song. Take a Bow. It's all about the bullfighter killing the bull. Okay. So again, I don't. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there for that one. I don't think I've got anything else. Yeah. Oh, I did have one. Did I have one more thing? I just wanted to mention some stuff on. I just happened to watch Die Hard again the other day, and I mean that film is just so loaded. But I want to note one thing with Alan Rickman. Okay, the baddie. Okay, so this would have been the idea of the Matrix here, right? He's a 114 numerology for the death. Okay. Again, a 112 or 221 reference with the, again, that's back to the dollar bill. That's back to the 22nd of October. Lots of different connections there, but basically the same number. And 122 in the dollar bill connects to the idea of Labor Day, and again that's the idea of resurrection. So I just thought it was interesting, okay, because he's the Matrix character, I guess, in that film. He's the baddie. And I've got to do the dartboard as well. Yeah, hang on. And the other thing that was interesting was John's. Well, how was it now? Was it on this? Oh, what am I doing? John McClane's like counterpart that he talks to, that helps him through the thing, that's at the other end of the radio. Yeah. The guy playing that is this guy right here, and the actual character is Al Powell. Okay, and obviously Lake Powell with there at the what is it? It's the Glen Canyon Dam, which is just further upstream from Hoover. So it's like they're almost like twin dams almost. So Powell's a nice reference to that, and also his birthday happens to be an 816 date as well. Okay, 816. And I think there was something on Robert De Niro as well the other day, which again is the 17th of August, his birthday. There was something with him in the news. I can't remember what it was though. And again, Madonna's Sean Penn is also the 17th of August. So there's also this connection back with the 817 with this as well. So, you know, I just thought it was interesting that this dude in Die Hard also had the same birthday of the year. Okay. Let's do the final little bit here, which is this thing. So here's the 11.6 that goes horizontally and the 203 that goes up and down. Okay, so super important. Again, the 11.6 in the chart of Lorraine also ties back to that 59 number, which has been quite prominent in a lot of my decodes, and I also We Seek channels also got a hell of a lot of stuff on 5.9 and 5.19, so super important there. What I want to show you though is something that's really interesting with Madonna. Is obviously she's right here with her numbers 816, and of course that 11.6 is, it's tying into Madonna's numbers, because 811 that ties in here is to do with 811 is the number of the sort of balanced man, yeah. And when you look at the cross that ties into this number 11 here, obviously it's that same cross with the 203 and the 11.6. What I thought was really interesting though is if you draw an upside down flux capacitor in here, so tying back to the DeLorean, okay, and time travel, and of course Doc invents time travel on the 5th of November, okay. He hits his head, I think, on the sink, but he was standing on the toilet, okay. And this whole reference with the toilet and Elvis on the toilet when he dies, reading that book about well, I can't remember what it was, but it's some book to do with Christ. And obviously, if you change over your letters in the alphabet, if you do a reverse alphabet and a forward alphabet and then flip the letters of Hoover, or it becomes Elvis, and not Hoover, sorry, Hover becomes Elvis, and Elvis becomes, and vice versa, Elvis becomes Hover. Okay, and the whole hoverboard scene in Back to the Future, which is again Hoover, Hooverboard. Okay, but the idea of the upside down flux capacitor, which is the upside down cup of Christ, the empty vessel now. Okay, so again, there's two different ways of looking at that. That could be not being within the Holy Spirit, okay, or not being with the Holy Spirit, or it could be a reference to coming out of the matrix, coming out of the womb, okay, the emptying of the womb. The cup has been spilt, yeah. So there's it depends on the context of the whole thing. But the 816 here, if we come up at an angle here, follow my cursor, we can do the opposite angle on the other side, yeah. And that set of numbers is, again, there's the 1015. I think that was the 1015 I was thinking about earlier, okay. And then of course her celebration tour being on the 1014, okay. But the 1015 again is 115 numerology. So November the 5th numerology with this upside down flux capacitor, and obviously that heads up to the number 20 up here, or these three numbers up here, which is again the idea of Christ's birthday. Yeah, 1221. This is just an amalgamation of those numbers. Okay, so again, that's fairly interesting. I think I'm going to leave it there. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I like to do these sort of, what numbers across from this number, what numbers adjacent, because of course going straight across is pretty important as well, with the idea of balance, having a sort of one thing opposing the other thing, via the bullseye here. And the thing that opposes Madonna's birthday here is, 413 or 314, the numbers of pi, okay, or the numbers of 55 plus 88, 143, okay. So again, super duper interesting with that pi number there, and then with that whole thing with the 133 with. And I will tell you one other thing about that point in Back to the Future is Marty's getting ready to go back. Yeah, he's at the start line, ready to do his speed up going down through the street to catch the bolt of lightning. Right before he goes back, he gives Doc the letter, and the letter gets torn up, and he's like, "If only I had more time." Hang on a minute, I'm in a time machine. I'll just go back 10 minutes early. He types in 10 minutes early. If you watch the display, it actually knocks off 11 minutes. I'm pretty sure that's the way around it is. Okay. So the 10:11 is referenced right there when he's about to do that jump. Okay, so that's that whole sort of sequence of events there, getting back down to Doc, who is sacrificed at that point. Anyway, I gotta call it a day. That's probably over an hour long, this video. I need to go to bed. It's now the 5th of November. So will we remember the 5th of November? And obviously the idea of remembering, remember that these two dates are quite closely tied together, because there's remember the 5th of November, and then of course in England we have Remembrance Sunday, which is usually, it's supposed to be the 11th of November, 11/11, at the 11th minute of the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. Yeah, Remembrance Day. Okay, so remembering, again, the idea of Osiris and all this stuff, and the Egyptian stuff as well, building that pillar back, okay, resurrecting Osiris, sticking all the pieces back together. Yeah, it's starting the thing over again. It's the rebuilding of the tower, or the towers, or that relationship. It's that rebuilding of really the ego that has been damaged by being in the matrix for all this time. That thing has to be sacrificed, has to be knocked down. That ego has to be gone, and then you can build yourself a new balanced ego. Yeah, the ego is important, but the problem is the context of the ego, whether it's righteous or whether it's wrong. Anyway, I'm leaving it there because I'm just waffling on. I'll catch on another one here real soon. Okay. It probably won't happen anyway, but I just thought it was just some interesting links there, so we'll see. Yeah, I'll catch you on another one here pretty soon. All right, cheers. Thanks for watching. Bye.